One of the most interesting areas of application of virtual technology is in teaching doctors and nurses. There's a ton of data that shows that learning in VR is more effective than traditional methods, which shouldn't come as a surprise because the traditional methods actually date back centuries. One of the challenges in training surgeons is, how do you practice cadavers? How do you practice? Cadavers they don't quite recreate the stress of operating on a live body because you can't kill them. They're already dead. And cadavers are expensive. There's a shrinking supply, which is weird because I thought people were dying to become cadavers. It costs around $6,000 to recover, prepare, and store a single cadaver. And a cadaver lab, it can cost several $1,000,000 for a university or a school. Now, with VR simulations, cadavers are just bits, and they're more realistic. According to medical students, operating on a cadaver isn't anything like operating on a live person. And it creates confusion in the operating theater, which is a place where you need calm and confidence, not confusion. Now, surgeons are like musicians, and who practice scales over and over and over again so they can commit them to muscle memory so they can perform on stage. VR gives surgeons or DJs or airplane mechanics, or just about anyone for that matter, the ability to practice until they make it perfect with minimal cost and a lack of dying. Now, there's a saying in any tech, right? Cheaper, better, faster. Pick two, because you can't have all three. But virtual reality, turns out, is cheaper and better and faster, and it keeps getting cheaper and better and faster. Now, I caught up this week with Dr. Jack Pottle, who's the Chief Medical Officer of Oxford Medical Simulation. Now, they recently made their virtual training platform available for free for hospitals and medical schools around the world, to retrain retired doctors and nurses to get them back into the front line of the COVID-19 battle. Who's your channel for this? Are you getting this into medical schools? Are you getting it into hospitals? Is it both? And what are the challenges of getting this out into the world?
The biggest challenges probably are that the medical and nursing field are quite rightly inherently cautious and slow to adopt things. Then there's purely the fear of trying something new. You know, we are not in the VR era in healthcare. We are still going e-learning. I've heard of this.
So what's the experience, the difference for you personally?
I remember it was 3 a.m. and I went to see a lady in her 60s who was sick, and she was gasping for breath and turning blue. And I remember thinking, shit, I don't know what to do here. Even though you've been to a really good medical school and have all of that knowledge. And for me, that is what we're replicating. We're replicating that training that you get on the wards, but we're doing it in a way that is completely supportive, in a way that is repeatable, and in a way that if you screw it up, no one dies.
And so in the simulations, do you try to recreate that mood and tension?
That is entirely what we do. I suppose that, that's our USP. It is making you feel, it is making you believe you're there with a patient. So we've developed a lot of systems behind this, sweatiness, increasing breathing rates, making them look a bit panicky. All of that happens behind everything that's going on. And so that then gets people bought into it and makes them behave like real life. And
what do you think is going to happen on the back end of this for virtual reality in public use?
That's a big question, Bob. I think a lot more people are going to be engaging in it, and I think it is going to get pushed more into people's homes, quite rightly. I mean, I got my wife playing Half-Life Alyx over the weekend. It was a seminal moment for me. That, because it's moving into people's homes, is going to have a knock-on beneficial effect for commercial facing as well, just because it's getting the word out there and high tide raises all boats. And social distancing isn't just going to finish overnight as well. So this is going to be a long tail of people gradually realizing they need something quickly, be that consumer, home VR, and then seeing the value carry on. So I think overall, this will be enormously beneficial for the VR community. I see this as a way of accelerating a trend that was already happening.
And what about hygiene? In public places and stuff like that? Like, how do you think this is? I know you don't have a crystal ball, but you've got a different perspective than most people I talk to. So I'd love to get your take.
I think overall, as this begins to tail out, people will just be more rigorous with the cleaning of the kits. There are ways around it. So I think that will probably happen. But these companies who are doing UV cleaning of headsets, I think will quite rightly become more popular in that period where people are more worried about hygiene.